Hi, I'm Brittany Rushton, Miss Canada 2021 finalist, and I am really excited for my interview with the Pageant Project.
Hey everyone, it is Adrian from the Pageant Project with you. My special guest for today is Brittany Rushton, who is a Miss Canada 2021 finalist. Brittany, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, obviously you're coming to us from Canada. Did you want to tell everyone in particular, specifically whereabouts you're coming to us from Canada?
Yeah, I live downtown Calgary. I was just telling him it is the busiest, craziest part of Calgary, and we just finished the Calgary Stampede, which is very, very huge event in Calgary where they do the rodeo and lots of like cool carnival stuff. So yeah, downtown Calgary.
Stampede. That's the first time I've heard that in 200 interviews. Tell me a little bit more about the Stampede. It's a rodeo.
Yes, I'm so shocked you've never heard of it. It's an insane thing. I think it's been going on for like over 100 years or something now. And
wow,
super crazy. They have it's literally like 10 blocks from my house. Like I can walk there in 10 minutes and it's insane. They set up this huge area downtown. They have like the Big Four building, which is like where they host kind of huge conferences and different things. And they have businesses pop up. There's food trucks everywhere. There's carnivals and Ferris wheel stuff and games, and the kids go, and it's like really crazy. They usually do like truck races, truck wagons, and like rodeo stuff. And yeah, there's concerts, country music every single night. There's big tents where you two-step, and it's really fun.
It does sound like a lot of fun. Truck races? You mean like semi-trailer truck races? Or
Chuck, like with horses and cows and all of the farm animals.
Okay. I thought you had truck races. I thought that's another new one. That sounds like a lot of fun. Is that an annual event, is it?
Yes. Every summer they host it. It's 10 days long. They do like a couple extra nights where there's like sneak peeks and different things. And there's fireworks every night. And it's really cool.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that sounds very far removed from my reality at the moment. We're in another lockdown. We can't leave home. So to hear that you guys it's good to hear someone at least is having fun. Obviously, it being summer for you. Brittany, let's start with the easy question. I always ask everyone this. How did you get involved in the crazy world of pageantry to begin with?
I have an interesting kind of pageant upbringing, I guess. In Calgary, there is...
Sorry, your microphone just dropped out for a second. Can you just start that again?
Yeah. Is it working now?
Yep. It's all good now.
Okay, I'm just going to actually double check something. It should be
just dropped out for a couple of seconds, but you're back with us now.
Okay. Yeah. So I actually started in pageantry when I was young. I did Little Miss Calgary. I think I was maybe 9 years old. That's obviously local to our city. I entered pageants more so because I did kind of like little kid modeling things when I was young with my mom, more like Sears and like catalog cheesy things. I had like really curly blonde hair, kind of fun. My brother and I look like twins with big dimples. So I think people like that. So I think it was just kind of like the Patty Faulkner modeling agency was like very intertwined with pageants at the time. So I started doing pageants young. And then I did up until Junior Miss Calgary, which is teens. I think they call it something like, I think they do now call it Junior Teen Miss or Calgary or something. So at the time, I think I was 13. So that was my last sort of pageant. And then I competed, started doing pageants again 2 years ago when I started and went to Miss Universe Canada. So yeah, that's kind of how it all started. And now this year we're doing Miss Canada 2021.
That's quite the Canadian pageant scene. I've interviewed a few Canadian queens. How big is it? I mean, if you go out just into public with people, let's say, who don't know you, and you mention the fact that you do pageants, do you get the same response that a lot of the Australian girls get, which is they do pageants? Like, what's a pageant?
Kind of, yeah. Pageantry is kind of interesting to people. it's definitely like it's different. Like people either they're like, oh, that's so cool. I hear shockingly amounts of girls will be like, oh, I've always wanted to do that. I never thought I could do it. So that's kind of always been shocking to me, is hearing people say that it's something that's like feels out of reach for them, or it's just something people have never really heard of, or they think it's just Miss Universe only. They didn't know they did that in Canada. So I get a lot of different responses, and usually a lot of questions like, oh, what do you do? Or there's so much more work, because people will see us fundraising and they're like, why are you fundraising? Or what are you doing? What are you campaigning for? And when I explain to them that I'm competing or what I'm doing, then it's always like, oh, that's for real, or oh, I didn't know girls in Calgary did that. So it's definitely interesting and different.
When they say I didn't know girls in Calgary did that, is there a particular reason why Calgary girls wouldn't do that?
I don't know if it's just because they don't know it exists locally, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like, I think it's just a shock that someone so close, because again, I think it feels out of reach for a lot of people, or they don't know how to start it. I think pageantry lacks some of the social aspect. Like, it used to be televised and streamed in different areas. So even my parents are like, oh, well, it's not on the news anymore. I didn't know they did that anymore. So coming from that side of things, I can see why people are confused or unaware of how to get started if you're not already in the world or you don't actively look into it.
Yeah. Do you deal with the same sort of pageant stereotypes in Canada that it's not so prevalent in America, although to some extent, UK and Australia, definitely it's a toddlers and tiaras kind of thing, or the girls are catty. Do you deal with those same sort of stereotypes and assumptions in Canada?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of it comes from, usually there's three main things I come across. And one of them is like, wow, you're so nice. I thought you'd be so stuck up, or I thought you'd be mean, or things like that. I'm like, so opposite of walking into a high school experience as a young girl, as opposed to walking into a room of pageant girls. So different. And I think people, kind of go straight back to that Mean Girls movie, and it's like, no, it's actually not like that at all. Or they have that stereotype that it's like, oh, that makes sense that you're a pageant girl because like you're into fitness and you're skinny and you're blonde. I'm like, well, no, that's actually also not it, So I think there's a couple different stereotypes that constantly come up for myself, as well as like, obviously the industry itself. Or I get sometimes like rude responses to like what I'm doing for fundraising, for example, like, oh, it's for Miss Universe Canada. This one lady said to me, I was like, yeah, this is what we're doing. She's like, I don't do beauty pageants. That's a terrible thing to be doing. And like, would not even talk to us. I was like, oh, okay. So
was this in Canada?
Yeah, it's in downtown Calgary.
I thought all Canadians were nice.
Most of us.
Oh, dear. I really don't understand that from a personal perspective. If you don't agree with what someone's doing, just move on. You don't have to cast judgment on it. It's very odd. And also, if you're raising funds because of Miss Universe, I mean, you're still raising funds.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think people have predispositions about what pageantry is all about or what we stand for in pageantry. And that's part of the reason, even myself, like I advocate to speak on what pageantry is. I have a little series on my platform page where I explain why I get involved in pageants and like the things you don't see in pageants, the things that happen behind the scenes or off stage, right? So I try my best, obviously, because I come from running a business as well. So I do get a lot of heat on like beauty pageants, and walking around on stage in my bikini is something some people don't like. But I think it's funny because if I decided in my fitness career to walk around on stage in my bikini, people would love it. But if I am doing it for pageantry, people are like offended. So I think it's funny to experience that as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting from my perspective. I mean, people can have whatever opinion they want. I'm not telling them what to think. But I think very often, I don't know if this has been your experience, Brittany, but the people who pass judgment to me seem to be people who've never tried it or never looked into it, and they make assumptions about why the girls are doing it. And to be perfectly frank, when I started doing this whole interview thing 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't have the highest opinion of the bikini section or the swimsuit section. But after interviewing hundreds of pageant girls, a number of them, the overwhelming number of them, find it hugely empowering. And from my
Absolutely.
perspective, if you find it empowering, it's not my position to tell you that it's wrong or that you shouldn't do it.
Well, no, and I think it's hilarious because I think, especially, I have a fitness and nutrition background. I work with clients regularly. I've helped over 1,000 personal training clients and spent countless hours one-on-one in a gym, in massage school, in different settings where you consistently, touch on people's insecurities and what they want to improve upon, or areas of their life, obviously, that they would not do certain things in a bathing suit, or that's usually like quite a motivator for some people, or vacations and they want to look better. And I think that a lot of people, until you've put in that work, you've gotten to that point where you actually are happy with your body, or even if you're not perfectly happy with your body 24/7, which I think is also the point of stepping on stage too, is because no matter what happens and what leads up, you've committed to stepping on stage. So you obviously have confidence in the fact that you have the ability to achieve those goals. So I think some people don't understand that if you have yet to commit and achieve those goals either, you don't know what it feels like to want to show that off, or want to feel confident, or want to just do it because you said you were going to do it. So I think that, to me too, is it, like you said, it comes from people who have never tried it. And it's like, you don't know what it feels like to be up there with 40 or 50 other like really empowered women who are also confident enough to not compare themselves to you or compare themselves to others, but like step on stage like very, very authentically. And I think people don't realize that about the bikini aspect because they don't take the time to watch a pageant, read about a pageant, talk to a pageant girl openly. And I think all of us would probably tell you, most of us, that like the experience is fantastic regardless of the outcome,
Well, I think absolutely. I think it's a lot easier for most people simply to pass judgment than actually try to understand it. And to be frank, I think a lot of other people might find it quite daunting if a woman is working hard, working on her body, and then has the confidence to go on stage. I think that can reflect on other women who maybe don't have the confidence to do that and then cast judgment, if that makes sense. But as I said, I mean, I don't understand if you're looking to raise funds for a pageant and someone doesn't want to donate, you just move on. There's no reason to slag someone off and tell them what they're doing is a waste of time. I simply don't understand that. Janice here in the comments, who's from Canada, has said, sorry if I missed this. Brittany, which province are you from? We don't have provinces in Australia, so Alberta. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that like a state?
Yeah,
city and then state?
Pretty much.
Right. Okay, all right. Now, Brittany, you briefly mentioned that you into health and fitness, as in you have a personal training business. I got your message, and this is often the case with entrepreneurs. It's difficult to explain. It's difficult for me to explain what you do, and I'm not even going to try. It might be difficult for you to explain all the things that you do. So outside of the pageant world, can you give people a brief insight into what you do for work, what motivates you on a daily basis?
Absolutely. I know it's hard for me, so I can't imagine other people. I always feel bad for my parents. Essentially, my main business is SophroSYNC Fitness. I have run a personal training and nutrition coaching company for 4 years now. Actually, I worked in a gym for 2.5 years before that. And obviously went to school before that. So I've been in the industry for quite a while. I love working with clients one-on-one. And then I decided I wanted to be able to work with people on a larger scale. So I transitioned my business online primarily. So I have essentially like a fitness application where people log in, my clients, they can check in with me. I have a coach who works with me where we also run her Nutrition with Nat page, and we focus on recipe development and different things. So that is my fitness baby. I love it. It's my very first kind of adventure in entrepreneurship, and it was really, really fun. It means a lot to me. So with that, I found that I really wanted to work with other female entrepreneurs that were trying to, further and achieve their goals. There's only 15% of females across Canada hold CEO positions, and that number is like quite low to me. So with that, I wanted to create my platform, Female CEO. It's become a marketing and kind of female entrepreneurship empowerment brand. And I run that regularly, where I provide affordable marketing for Canadian female entrepreneurs, as well as just exposure. And I do business coaching, I do social media presence coaching, different things like that, just to help create things that I wish I had when I first started my business, things that, you know, were key and important to me. And with that, I also have obviously started the Miss Entrepreneurship Canada 2021 online pageant to kind of amplify that as well, which was one of my main goals in starting that platform. Even before Miss Universe Canada and competing there, I wanted to strategically kind of build up that page to showcase female entrepreneurs somehow. And I found that pageantry and business combined could really amplify that for women. So that's kind of mainly what I do, is run my platform. And then, of course, pageants are a lot of work. So I'm always fundraising and like planning events and online stuff. So I feel like that's a whole job in itself. But outside of pageantry, primarily, I just run my fitness company. I love it. We're always doing like brand photo shoots. My personal Instagram is definitely like a brand in itself as well. I do modeling and influencer stuff, but that's kind of a nice bonus to me running my own brands.
Taking a few notes here because I want to go back to some of the things you addressed, because there's so many things. It's tough to keep track in my mind about all of them. Let's start with the health and fitness side of it. I mean, separately from SophroSYNC. Is it SophroSYNC? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Health and fitness for women, and modeling, pageantry. There used to be, and to some extent it's still true, everyone wants to be skinnier. It's about reaching a target weight. I like to think it's moving a little bit away from that, and it's more about being healthy and fit rather than focusing on a particular weight or even a particular look. What have been the biggest challenges for you, let's say in working with women in terms of their health and fitness? What have been sort of the biggest challenges for women in that area?
I think that constantly we are compared to anything, like media aspect wise, whether it be people in television, models, Victoria's Secret models, everyone says like, I want to look like that. I want to do that. I want to be there. And I think in a setting where, I'm trying to highlight people's strengths and improve upon their weaknesses, not just highlight their insecurities. It's so different, right? So I think people are influenced by social media, whether it be comparing their looks or seeing someone faster than them, seeing someone do something. And I think it's so easy to forget that those things are unrealistic and unattainable most of the time, because that person as a celebrity probably has professional chefs, hours on hours a day to do what they need to do. Probably like someone watching their kids so they can get a full 8 hours of sleep. Like, the list goes on. And I think we live in a world that's like, idolizes these people and their lifestyles, but those lifestyles are often not attainable. So our fitness and the way we show that on our bodies is obviously going to be different. So with that being said, I think it's very hard for me as one person and one coach to combat every single day's comparative, like, I didn't get enough sleep. I didn't do enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not pretty enough. This girl looks like that. She did it faster than me. And so I think I could probably never say enough things to these people to combat how much media tells them they're not enough. And that's like very heartbreaking to me. Obviously, it's a hurdle in my job, but it's also just something I wish we could overcome. And obviously, like, we try, like, with our fitness company, and I try to spread that message. So I just hope that other people catch on and that eventually people start to realize that they are enough and that those problems are so much bigger than them, So that is my biggest issue. And I feel for like the women that struggle with that and struggle with comparing themselves and comparing their lifestyles and comparing where they want to be with where they are now, but feeling like it's unattainable. So that is, I think, my biggest struggle with women everywhere, right? Especially, even in pageantry, you show up and all the girls have prettier dresses and sparklier shoes, and you're like, oh shoot, I felt so good about all my outfits before I came here, and now these girls look so good. But it's just because you're literally in a room with, the 50 most beautiful girls across the country. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So of course it's easy to compare yourself, but you also have to remember that before you saw all of those women in all their outfits, you felt super confident in all of your outfits, So I think I try to remember that. And of course, we all fall short sometimes, but that would be the biggest issue, I think, in the health and fitness industry is there's so many things that can cloud your mind when you're trying to reach your goals.
Well, I mean, it's also tough. I mean, obviously, you're active on social media, and men deal with comparison as well in
Of
different
course.
ways. But particularly in the health and fitness industry, where everything is kind of marketed by perfect six packs or
Mhm.
eight packs, perfect bodies, no one's dripping a sweat or someone is drenched in sweat. And then you
Yeah.
starting your own business, the entrepreneurial scene in itself is full of comparison, because you
Mhm.
look at someone who's started something and they maybe have more followers than you, or they are kind of humble bragging about something and it reflects on you. Do you ever struggle with having to obviously be active on social media, yet social media is tempting you all the time to, just because this sort of thing, scroll,
Mhm.
and you just have to stop yourself from comparing yourself to other people? Do you ever struggle with that sort of problem?
Of course, I think, it sounds so cheesy, but it's almost like, influencers are a dime a dozen at this point. Everyone's trying to be an
Yeah.
influencer. Everyone's posting everything. That's like my personal brand as well. You have to be the one outputting the most content and pushing the most things and the algorithm and all these things. And I think at the end of the day, for myself, I try to always bring it back to like the things that are beneficial to me mentally as well as in my business, because I can't, if I put all my energy into something that's like making my business succeed, for example, like those people who it's super awesome for them that they're putting all of their energy into social media, and obviously they're
Mm.
doing great and their influencer profiles are through the roof and they're so awesome, but like a lot of those people go home and they're quite miserable or they're unhappy or they're stressed and everything's hard, and on social media it's picture perfect, but behind the scenes this person is struggling. And I think for me, I can't put all of my energy into social media because it would drain my mental health regardless of how good it might be numerically for my
Yeah.
business. It's not going to matter at the end of the day because I'll crash and burn. So I think for me, longevity and authenticity is like super, super important to me because it can be very easy. And I think, of course, at the beginning, it was really easy to lose sight of that. But I think as I grew into my position and into myself as like even a business owner or as an influencer or as someone who's in social media, I had to combat those things other ways. So I really
Mm.
do strive for genuine connections. And that's why I try to host virtual events that are like with the select people that support you, or in-person events with those people that support you, and kind of go back to those old school marketing ways for me, because that helps me thrive more a little bit for sure. So
Mm.
yeah, that's kind of my look on social media in a sense, even though, don't get me wrong, social media, like my whole business is social media. So I say that, and but I'm still on social media all the time, but I still am behind the scenes so that if I have to take a day off social media, or I'm not one for Instagram lives all the time. And I know that probably hurts my business, but I would rather host these big in-person events and be live there than be on the Instagram live. So I
Yeah.
balance it out that way. So I don't know. I think it takes a lot, but I think you have to find something that works that's not social media as well, and not put all your like eggs in one basket or whatever, because it can really affect your mental health. Social media can be detrimental, I think.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you on that. I mean, it's as you said at the beginning. It's like influencers at the moment are a dime a dozen.
Mm,
There's supply, there's oversupply, because a lot of people now, especially young women and young men, want to be influencers. But I think for them, they have this idea that if they get 10,000, 100,000, a million followers, they'll be instantly rich, instantly famous. People are going to pay for them to travel all over the world, give them
exactly.
cars, give them free meals. And I actually think
Mhm.
it gives influencers a really bad name, because a
It
lot of
does.
businesses don't like that. I think you're slightly different though, because you have a genuine business behind it. So it's sort of social media feeding into the genuine business, versus an
Mhm.
influencer who sometimes feels like it's trying to be famous for fame's sake, with this sort of delusion that you'll become instantly rich and famous when you get the blue tick on Instagram or whatever it is. I think it's a very interesting, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts, because you, as I said, you have a genuine business where you are helping people, sometimes face to face, sometimes virtually. And I think for you, the social media helps feed that, versus some other people who don't have the business side, and the social media kind of is the business, and all their attention just goes into social media, social media, social media, how many likes, how many follows, etc. So for you, I'm imagining that social media is a very useful tool, but it's not an end unto itself. Would that be correct?
Yes, absolutely. And it's nice to hear that's like a recognizable thing on my Instagram, for example, or my social media pages, because that is definitely something I strive for. I want to have something other than just a face on an Instagram page, if that makes sense. Like, I obviously love those fashion influencers who, you know, all they do is post outfits, and that's super awesome. And I think obviously there's a niche for that. But I think for myself, with the baseline of longevity in my fitness life and everything, I always think about 5 or 10 years from now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think I could post a selfie of my outfit every single day for 10 years. I think I need a little more than that, you know? And like, again, like that's super fine, but I wanted to put my efforts and build my business into something that, like, if the internet crashed, I would still have something there, you know? Something to offer.
If I was posting outfit of the day, because that's what a lot of them do, I think I'd run out of things to post within a week, if I'm honest. Janice has asked how the gym closures, so I'm assuming you had gym closures in Canada, how did the gym closures during lockdown affect your business?
That's a great question, actually. Thank you. Essentially, it was very interesting to see how that affected my business, because I already had transitioned my client base online. I have hundreds of like exercise demonstration videos. I have home workout styles. I have kind of travel workouts, gym workouts, you name it. I have stretching, anything you could think of. And I obviously have created this communication system with my clients. So my business was already set up for COVID, unfortunately. You know, like, I didn't know that, but it was there. And so I think, unfortunately for me, I had kind of a cool aspect. Like, obviously there's lots of fitness apps and different things, but I think because I came from an in-person coaching setting previously and having boot camps and in-person connections, I did have a bit of an upper hand in that aspect, and my marketing was a bit different. So when the pandemic hit, everyone really quickly put all their businesses online, and they were all in panic mode. So they offered a lot of their services for free. So that unfortunately really hurt my business, in the sense that I was no longer, I then again was like a dime a dozen and 10 times more expensive than anyone else, because I was not looking to like devalue my service just because these people were panicking, thinking it was only going to last 2 weeks. Because originally in Canada, they told us 14 days and you'll all be fine. So I think people were just
that
like, oh,
seems a lifetime ago.
Exactly, a year and a half ago. So I think a lot of people were not really planning for longevity like I was. So my business, I had to readjust. We actually just updated my membership system. We will be taking on new clients this month in August, actually. It's a whole new membership system, a lot different. So it definitely pushed me into a new direction, in a sense. I still have all of my old coaching stuff. It still works very much the same for a lot of my clients, but there is a new system that I had to kind of create to combat the fact that everyone else was offering their services for either like free or pretty much nothing, because they definitely didn't understand the online market yet. So for me, that was unfortunate, but oh well. I definitely got to put a lot of cool things into my female CEO platform during COVID, and I developed a lot of things online because I had plans to do a lot of in-person events, but I think it was great. It pushed me into like a different direction, in the sense that I could expand more for like across Canada instead of just locally. So I think it's good in a lot of ways, but it was definitely, it put a hit on like a certain aspect of my online business, because like I said, a lot of people panicked and put all of that stuff up for free. So it was interesting.
But you sound like you were in a better position than a lot of other businesses, full stop, but even other health and fitness businesses, because you had already partially transitioned online, at least. And entrepreneurship to me is very funny. It seems it's simultaneously a sprint and a marathon. It's a sprint, like when COVID hits and you need to move as quickly as you can to change up your business model. But as you said, the longevity is super important as well. So not expecting things to happen overnight. But it sounds like you've got the wheels in motion there. In terms of the name of your business, SophroSYNC, where did that come from? That's an unusual name. I really like it. It's a really pretty looking word. I'm going to bring it up here, but where did the name come from?
So SophroSyn is actually a Greek word that encompasses a really cool kind of character trait, essentially. So in Greek mythology, they believe that SophroSyn is a character that only gods and queens and kings possess. And essentially it means all things in moderation and tapping into one's truest and most authentic self. So in that, it's just saying that, you're wanting to tap into all of your strengths and encompass all of these things for longevity and for life. So I think with my company and how I coach my clients and my views on health and fitness, like I said, are for longevity and goals. And just, I don't do quick fixes. I don't starve my clients. There's no bikini body 10-day diet in my programs.
Yeah.
So with that, the end, we just kind of played it a little bit with the sync, because we sync all areas of your wellness. We work on nutrition and sleep, and we work on fitness and mobility. So SophroSync, that's kind of how it happened.
Perfect. Okay. Let's move on to Female CEO, your platform. You mentioned it briefly before. I want to ask you the same question I asked with health and fitness with women. In terms of entrepreneurship and women, what have you seen to be the biggest sort of common struggles that women who want to start their own business are dealing with?
I think a lot of women, number one, struggle when they are wanting to start a business with, am I enough? Which is the same. It's comparative. I think that's a baseline, again, from social media and everything in our lives lately. So I think, am I enough is always the first struggle. Like, can I do this? Is it the right time? Should I be doing this? I think, especially as women, we're taught we should do X, Y, and Z. We should work 9 to 5. We should have our kids. We should have our babies. We should do our things. We should get married. We should be looking for a husband. Like, I think a lot of people struggle internally, women, with the fact that, can I put all of the things that I have into this business, and is it the right time? So I think that's primarily the first thing that women struggle with. And I think the second thing is honestly just knowing where to start. I get that a lot, like, oh, I don't even know how you do it, or I don't know how you do it all, or I could never hire someone to do all the things that your company does. But it's like, I understand, definitely I work way too much. Definitely I do a lot. I'm crazy. I know that. But I'm a little bit of a control freak, which is for sure why I work alone. I think it's more so like I definitely have a hard time distributing tasks to other people. And I hire out very selectively. My mom works for my company. Obviously, like Nutrition with Nat, she's there and she's very awesome at listening to what I want. So I'm a control freak. So I don't suggest doing it all on your own, but I do see why I do it all on my own. And I do suggest people to learn, if you're unsure. I teach this in my Keys to Success seminar that I do online. It's a virtual kind of 90-minute seminar that I host for women in business. And I just talk about how I, do things. And one of my main things is I just tell people is to learn something new every day. Like, if you're scared of SEO, a lot of people ask me about SEO. I get that a lot. I'm like, Google it. YouTube videos. There's so much free stuff online. And not that I don't want to tell you, but there's a professional out there who probably made a YouTube video about it, or a podcast or something. So I strongly encourage people to, if you're scared of something, or you're intimidated of something in your business, or you think you can't start because you don't know how to build a website, or you don't know how to do this, or you don't know how to do that, I think ask for help and ask YouTube for help. And it sounds silly, but I think those are the two main things. I asked for a lot of help in my business the first year. I was so needy. I asked so many people that I went to high school with that had asked me for help, that had asked me for free personal training before, people who had picked my brain about nutrition. I was like, oh, okay, remember that time we did a consultation about keto? Would you mind talking to me about X, Y, and Z? Or oh, my friend has a photography business. I'm like, hey, if I use your photos for my website. So I think people are scared to ask for things too. And I think if you don't ask, everything's always going to be no. So I think those are two things
Mm.
at the beginning of a journey. Like, people get scared to ask for help, scared to do it all on their own, and definitely scared to get started. And I think those are three things that are so avoidable.
It's bizarre because I think people are afraid to ask for help because they don't want to look stupid. I think that's
Yeah.
a big problem. Sometimes also they don't know what question to ask. I mean, if you can go back to, the first time you thought of starting your own business, sometimes literally you don't, as you said, you don't know where to start. And
Yeah.
because you don't know where to start, you don't know what questions to ask. The other thing is, I think, and I don't know if you found this, you need to find, especially in entrepreneurship, what works for you. So you
Mhm.
identified yourself as a control freak, and you have difficulty, let's say, delegating to other people. I myself am the same, only because I've had some negative experiences
Yep.
getting other people to do work. And, it's your business. Only you're going to care about it like it's your business.
Mhm.
But there are, for example, you've got your mum to work with you. I often say that the last people I want to work with is family and friends, because you can't tell them off if they've done something wrong. So I think, and I don't know if you speak about this in your seminars or what your opinions are, but I think it's very important because, as you said, you can look a lot of stuff up and there's a lot of business gurus out there. But what you find is if you listen to 10 of them, they will tell you 10 different things
Mhm.
or 20 different things. Sometimes they
Mhm.
contradict themselves. So I've found it very important to go, okay, this is what works for me, but that doesn't mean it's what you should do. Have you
Mhm.
found that to resonate with your journey at all?
Absolutely. I think that's part of the reason I don't post. There is fitness influencers, for example, out there who they post every single day their meals, exactly what they measured out. They post their workout routines, and they have people who follow them to specifically follow those things. But I obviously know that what I do is not actually going to help probably 96% of people. If you saw what I ate in a day, you'd be very confused. But I have a very different background than any other person. So it's kind of funny, but I also don't want to explain all that. People still wouldn't care. They'd still be like, well, she looks like that, so I'm going to eat 6 cups of rice a day. That's how much I eat. So, that's not going to help. So I think I
You sound
apply that. So
Chinese. 6 to 8
I eat a
cups
lot
of
of
rice.
rice.
Is it white
Yes.
rice, brown rice? What sort of rice?
I
Just out of
like white
interest.
rice. I like white rice. Yeah, people would never guess I eat so much rice. Like, you eat carbs? I'm like, so many of them. Yeah, so that's what I mean. But I would never suggest that to a client. They'd probably gain a lot of weight and be very unhappy with themselves. But if they watch my
Yeah.
Instagram, they would want to do that, right? So it's so easy. Like, everything's so different. And especially with Instagram, like, with me, there's so many things that I probably should be doing, but I'm like, that doesn't work for me yet. My following's growing and
Mm,
everything's great, right?
yeah.
So in theory, there's a list of 10 things I could tell you to do that work really well for me, that other people are like, oh, I would never do that, or that doesn't work for me. So I give advice in keys to success for sure too, but it's never, I think people sometimes expect to show up and it's going to be like a lesson, or I'm going to give them 3 tips for Instagram or something. But they're definitely, my keys to success seminars are very like this, like we're chatting, we're talking,
Mm,
there's like a topic we talk on, and it's more so take what speaks to you, hopefully, and run with it. Hopefully I'm not
yeah.
telling you, bossing you around. I don't want to do that because it's not going to work out.
Well, the health and fitness industry, probably just off the top of my head, is one of the worst industries for oversimplified advice. And follow my
Yeah.
10-day plan, and you'll have 6-pack abs with absolutely no effort guaranteed. And you're just reading this. I mean,
Yeah.
I've tried a lot of things. I experimented with a lot of nutrition when I was growing up. So I was vegan for actually a raw foodist for about a year. I did try the keto diet, but it was interesting to me because there are certain fundamentals that, you want a certain amount of fiber a day,
Yeah.
as we're told, or you want a certain amount of vegetables and fruits a day. And trying to balance all of it was very, very confusing because on keto, and this is partly social media as well, they oversimplify it. A lot of
Yeah.
people liked keto because they went, oh, I can eat as much meat as I want. So they literally
Bacon
would
and
eat bacon
avocados.
bacon for breakfast, bacon for lunch, bacon for dinner, and they're going, this is the best diet ever. They lose weight for like a week, but
Mm.
they're not looking, as you said, the longevity of it. And you're eating no veg. And like the keto technically is a high fat diet, not a high protein diet. And then yes, very minimal carbs. But does it ever frustrate you, is my question, when you see, let's say, another personal trainer or Instagram influencer spruiking something like that and oversimplifying a diet, let's say, that yes, in the short term is going to maybe help you lose weight, maybe just because it is healthier than what you were eating before, because before you were eating Krispy Kreme donuts a whole day. But long term is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, long term it's going to have really potentially dangerous side effects. Does that frustrate you at all? Because it frustrates me.
Yes, it makes my stomach flip. I'm like, I want to scream. That and performance enhancement drugs are two things that really drive me insane, especially in the fitness industry, because I have clients come to me that show me a picture of this girl and they're like, I want to look like her and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, she is taking a lot of drugs that make her look that way. And yes, on her Instagram, she tells you about the rice and the things that she eats and like chicken and the whatever, but she also takes all of these performance enhancement drugs. So I think for me, it's really, really frustrating as a coach who is like against that. I preach whole foods. I'm a nutrition science nerd. I love it. I teach, again, longevity. I don't teach to like overtrain my clients. I, again, feed my clients. So it's very confusing to me why. I think honestly too, and that comes again from social media and like the influence of people comparing themselves to others and needing to be a certain way, because I see it. I lived in the gym for 15 hours a day for 2.5 years. And before that, even in school and just everything. And you see these people who are addicted to looking a certain way or wanting or striving to look a certain way on stage or be told by a person or a team of people that they look a certain way. And that's great. And I think those, like I said, those goals are so unattainable that they will do anything to get to them at a certain point. And I think in the fitness industry, unfortunately, that leads to, these very unhealthy things that people don't realize are going on. And it's so, so frustrating for me because people look at my fitness company and won't hire me because I don't maybe post people that look shredded or post people that look starving, I guess, basically, or I don't have people in these shows all the time, right? So for me, it is frustrating because I'm like, but that's because I care about your health. I wouldn't put someone in those positions, or I wouldn't starve someone, and I'm not going to make people take drugs. I wouldn't have you as a client if you took performance enhancement drugs because I don't believe in that. So I think for myself, it also obviously like people look at my business like it's not enough compared to that person who's doing those things, like you said, or in promoting those diets that, help you lose weight in 1 week. So it's very frustrating for me.
Well, I mean, you're not selling a quick fix is basically the summary. And I think, again, with social media, we've been trained that everything should be a quick fix. And if it actually takes hard work, then a lot of people simply don't have the patience for that. So we like to look at posts where it's this new secret diet that was invented by monks in Tibet that if you try, you don't have to work out and you'll have a six-pack abs by the end of the week. And you just have to look at this and read it. Like, you really think that's possible? And, I don't know with exercise equipment, whether you have the same thing, but it's like, ab rollers, for example. And look, and you have this person with eight-pack abs and you go, and the assumption is if I use your ab roller, I'm going to look like him or her. And I'm like, you realize that guy doesn't even use that piece of equipment. I think it's bizarre because I think intellectually we know better. But I don't know if you look at social media advertising, the marketing, it still works on us, even though we should know better. You put a photo up of an amazing looking girl or an amazing looking dude, and underneath you just put this diet. And if you do it enough, people start thinking, to look like that, I need to eat like this. To look like that, I need to work out. And I don't know how much of your day is taken up by explaining to new clients, no, they don't look like that because of that. They look like that because of this. Sometimes it is performance enhancing drugs, but a lot of it is also really, really hard work. And you're not going to want to do that. It's waking up at 5 a.m., training 2 or 3 hours a day. And to be fair, you may not have the time to do that.
That's what I mean by our earlier conversation, right? Where these women who have kids and lives and husbands and jobs and two jobs sometimes, or night shifts, and they're comparing them to people who their only job is to work out that day and look that good. And straight up. I wish, right? Like some days I'm like, I wish I was a fitness athlete for real. I need that. Just work out
But I
every
mean,
day.
a lot of those photos aren't even real.
Oh
That's the
no,
thing that we haven't said. You know, they're photoshopped or they're taken from a particular angle, and a lot of it is how you pose. It makes you look a certain
posing.
way.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's an interesting industry. Let's put it that way.
I
A lot
know.
of
It's a lot. I enjoy female CEO, especially because I definitely was starting to get almost like some negative feelings towards my job and my business because
mm,
like you said, right? It's like sometimes you're constantly spending your days explaining things, or all you're doing is combating something negative, or
yeah.
working and trying to explain something to someone who doesn't believe you. Because, like I said, I'm one person saying that, and there's 40,000 Instagram accounts saying, "Yeah, right."
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
it's an endless cycle. So I think female CEO is really great for me because it still takes like coaching and working with clients almost and people and working with women who are wanting to achieve a goal, but it's in a lot more positive setting a lot of the time to a fitness industry. I'm not going to lie. I
Yeah.
love being a personal trainer and I love working with my clients, but it definitely can be a big burnout of a career. A lot of people burn out. I'm the only person in my graduating class, I'm pretty sure, actually, that still works as a personal trainer. So
100%. I mean, you said, what was it? What, 15 years you've been in the fitness industry? I mean,
no,
that's a
seven,
7. Okay, well, 7 years.
7.
That's a very, very long time. I think a lot of the trainers. I used to have a personal trainer, and you'd go into the gym every day, and they'd have a wall with the personal trainer's photos, and almost every week, one of them would be removed, and another one would go up, and you could almost
Absolutely.
see, there's a 18, 19-year-old personal trainer, and they look like they all the hope, the world at their feet, all this hope in
Mm-hmm.
their eyes, and then 3 years down the track, they're
That was
not doing
me.
it anymore. You just wonder what happened to you, and they're like, oh, I couldn't do it anymore. The gym was ripping me off, or this
Mm-hmm.
was happening, and it's a high churn industry.
Yes.
To switch tracks, let's talk about Miss Entrepreneurship Canada. What led you to starting your own pageant? And you sent it to me, and I looked at it, and as I told you, I think it's amazing. And I'm not blowing smoke. I love the fact that what you look for in the pageant is actually more along entrepreneurial lines, and even the prize package is tailored to someone who is entrepreneurial. So, what led you to start your own pageant?
Yeah, like I said, I really thought that there was some points in pageantry that are very, very strong for women in business. So people don't realize the things that pageantry can bring you, the networking, the marketing
Mm.
opportunities. And I do think there's marketing opportunities that are lost in pageantry. I think that's something we are lacking. Like I said, it used to be televised, there used to be things. I think people who are running pageants, there maybe needs to be someone younger or someone different. I don't know, depending on the pageant system, who knows? But I will openly admit pageantry is more of an old school thing, right? So at this
Yeah.
point, if we don't do something, I think people are going to lose what pageantry is. And we are going to look back in 10 years and there's not going to be a pageant industry in Canada.
Hmm.
And I think that's unfortunate because I think myself, I know what pageantry can do for young women, especially, looking back, I can honestly say I remember standing on stage in Little Miss and Junior Miss Calgary. I sang talent, so I sang on stage. I remember being nervous and excited. I remember busy days backstage with other girls. I still talk to 2 or 3 of the girls that did Junior Miss Calgary with me. Like, that's insane. So I think that if you carry that into a business setting, then you're going to realize that networking, marketing, and all of those things and those connections that you're building could bring you so much further and amplify your business tenfold. So I wanted to combine those and kind of like create a more modern way for people to appreciate pageantry as well. I think, like I said, there's a lot of negative things about pageantry. That's why with Miss Entrepreneurship Canada, I focused on the entrepreneurial side of things. So when they submit their headshot, for example, it is a headshot you would use on your website for your business. So a lot of
Yeah.
people are like, oh, well, I'm not a pretty pageant girl. I'm not glamorous. I don't look like that. It's like, that's not what the headshot's about. The headshot is about what would you put on your business to capture the audience to look at you and say, like, I want to purchase this girl's product, or I want to be in this girl's service chair, or whatever it is. So
Mm.
that's kind of that side of things. You obviously in pageantry, you answer questions. Everyone, knows the whole world peace saying like, oh, you answer a question on stage. Is it always world peace? Like, it's like, no, it's not. So I think with that, I wanted to create these videos and kind of these structures that in pageantry usually would be those things like answering a question from the judges or whatever. But I wanted it to be presenting your business, presenting your passion and the why behind your business. We miss that a lot when we, just click an ad that says like, buy my face wash or come to my hair salon.
Yeah.
So I think people don't get to see the girl that runs the show. And I think people in this day and age and in social media, you purchase that video marketing. That is what people are feeding into. And, you're building a community of people who want to know your story and want to know your brand and want to support that. And whether it be because you have 3 kids in a really bomb photography business and you shoot the most beautiful wedding photos ever, or you have a really cool story of being like a single boss babe that travels the world and runs a hair salon. So it's like, I wanted people to see these women behind the brands because we're a minority. We're underrepresented in leadership roles across Canada. And with Miss Entrepreneurship Canada, we can showcase the women who are making waves and showing the future women of Canada that, if you're 13 to 15 to 17, I remember in high school, I'm 28 now, I never got told that I could be anything other than a nurse or a teacher. I'm not joking. They did industry presentations and they told you, nursing school is accepting so many people right now, or you can take an education program and you can be a teacher. And I was like, well, okay, well, neither one of those things appeal to me. And I kind of didn't go to post-secondary for quite a bit. I wasn't really interested. I did lots of other things. And I just thought like, I don't want to work a 9 to 5. I don't want to do those things. I wasn't interested. And I think there wasn't enough women around to say like there's other options. And so I think as well with Miss Entrepreneurship Canada, I'd love to see it grow into like more of a mentorship program as well, and being able to show that that's usually how it happens. If you see teen queens and misses like all going to events together, it's like, well, if you can amplify that in entrepreneurship and bring young women into business settings in younger ages and show them that they can be there and they can do whatever it is they want and sell whatever it is they want if they just create these relationships and these skill sets in a really positive setting. So pageantry does that for women, right? You can speak, you can learn all of those skill sets. So I thought we can do that in an entrepreneurial setting, but also fun and like personality. I think in pageants, you really get to bring your personality forward and you don't get to do that in business a lot. So hopefully this will grow and we will see lots of girls and their personalities and their brands and what they're reaching towards. And I'm very, very, very passionate about it. So it's taken about 2 years to just kind of bring it to fruition, but I'm excited and I've had a few signups so far and I'm just like, I'm very excited. It's something I'm very passionate about.
Well, you should be excited about it. Hopefully you don't want to launch a pageant and not be excited about it. When is the first event, or when do people have to sign up by? And I guess if people who are listening or watching are interested in that, how can they sign up?
They can either message me on Instagram. There's a link in my bio on Instagram on the Female CEO page. So there's lots of kind of places. My website, beelizabeth.com, MEC, Miss Entrepreneurship Canada, will bring you right to a page with more information as well. So there's lots of kind of places to click and find it, but mainly, that Female CEO Instagram. And there's a little application, takes 5 minutes or less to fill out. And then I'll email you lots more details, which is pretty cool. There's optional competitions as well for our like pageant girls at heart. So I, of course, could not leave that out. So with Miss Entrepreneurship Canada, there's your general registration, which of course gets you all those like business aspects and all those submissions and different things and features. But there's also Miss Social Media Queen. There's Miss Runway Queen, which the pageant gal, Maria Gerlando, super excited that she just got her title and brought it back to Canada. So she is also going to be judging the Miss Runway Queen portion and giving a free runway session to whoever wins. Whoever wins that. So I have some cool stuff going on with that. And then we, of course, have our Miss Fundraising Queen and Princess as well for those ladies who are really active in the community. And we have our Promising Product Award. So the Promising Product Award is really cool too, because of course within Miss Entrepreneurship Canada, if they have a service or product that they're very excited about, they will win a package where they get a photography session with their promising product, whatever it may be, with some models who will showcase it and show it off for them when they can put those high quality photos on their website or whatever it is. So again, just really focused those prize packages on how to help these women succeed in their business. So those are my extra cool things that I wanted to include for those girls who love the pageant life, like me.
Perfect. Perfect. So, guys, if you're watching or listening to this and you want to apply, I've actually put the link, Brittany, to your website in the description to this interview. So you can click on that and have a look at the Miss Entrepreneurship application form. Brittany, we'll move towards the close. Just before we do the final 10, anyone that you want to give a shout out to just for supporting you along your journey?
Yeah, I actually would love that. Maria G. Orlando, she obviously has coached me quite a bit. I don't know if you know who Lisa is. She's Canadian Beauties. She is also my other coach. So both of them have really helped me. Lisa's been awesome. And both of them are also judges and stuff in my Miss Entrepreneurship Canada. So I really appreciate their support in that too, because I know pageantry runs in the blood with those ladies. They are next level. So to have their support with Miss Entrepreneurship Canada really meant a lot for me. As well as my sponsor is Tiffany Teal Collection. She does the beautiful lashes that I have on, and she supports me in all of my pageant stuff. So shout out to her for being amazing as well.
Perfect. I have seen the Canadian Beauties brand around, but I was trying to find out who it was, and I couldn't find a name. I think I remember trying to find out who it was, but it's one of those ones where I can see the brand name, but I couldn't see the person's name. So I'm glad that you met. It's Lisa, is it?
Yes, she was Mrs. Universe Canada 2019. So she runs all the Calgary pageants. So I just recently judged like all of the Calgary girls, so Miss Calgary, Mrs. Calgary and stuff, and she runs the whole pageant stuff there too. So she's pretty amazing. Right.
Okay. I'll have to look her up now that I actually know who she is.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll
perfect.
send you
Let's
her
go to the.
Insta.
Please do, because I see sometimes. Because the pageant world is not that big. So you tend to, especially in Canada. So whenever I see like Canada and pageants and you see it again and again and again, it's like, who is this? Because I mean, she's liking a lot of my stuff and engaging with it. So I want to pay it forwards and, say thank you. But it's like, I don't know who you are. Okay. So the final 10 questions, Brittany, it's not a speed round, but if you want to answer them quickly, then go for it. Random questions. Number 1, what is your favorite word?
Ooh, I love that. I like the word excellent. I think it's beautiful when people say it out loud, or it's a good compliment.
And least favorite word?
Moist. It's an ugly word.
It's been a while since I've heard that one, but I've heard that one so many times you wouldn't believe. It's almost unanimously women who hate that word, by the way. Men don't have a problem with it. No, I don't have a problem with it, but there are literally women who cannot say that word without making a face or giggling, just as you did there. So it is one of the most hated words in the English language. It's been a while since I heard it. Number 3, in life, what excites you? What turns you on?
My family. I love my family and I love the gym. Those are 2 things that I get really, really excited about. Like I jump up and down whenever I get to see my nephew, and I'm forever dancing at the gym. So those are 2 things that probably are the most exciting to me apart from food.
What turns you off?
I don't like when people are mean for no reason. I think everyone should be kind to start with. Generally always kind, but unless someone does something terrible, I think meanness is a huge turn off for me. Or rudeness, same thing.
Question 5, what sound or noise do you love?
Anything like Spanish music. I lived in Mexico on and off for years and like throughout high school, and I love Spanish music. It makes me very happy. So.
Do you dance? I mean, if you're listening to Spanish, you have to dance. If you're listening to Spanish
music, like in my kitchen mostly in the morning, yeah.
Of course. What sound or noise do you hate?
I have actually post-concussion syndrome, so anything loud and persistent really, really is bothersome. And I live in downtown Calgary, so I'm constantly in the middle of some sort of construction zone, maybe traffic, a fight, a car alarm going off. So anything like that, I hate it, but it happens all day in my apartment. So.
A fight? Do you have many fights in Calgary? Is this a regular thing, is it?
Yeah, I live downtown. It's a spicy place to be.
Dear me, and I thought everyone in Canada was so nice. Question 7. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
I think to spread like happiness to people, regardless of what they're going through in their life. I think there's a lot of sadness in the world, and I think a lot of problems would be solved and people would, be able to succeed a little more if we could just give some happiness back to people, which is very cheesy, but.
What job or occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Oh, I honestly would love to be in some sort of reality TV entertainment something role. I think it would be fun to work with people like that. So I've honestly, maybe not an actress per se, because I think I would just laugh too much, but something on TV, maybe like, interviewing people or being those TV reality fun shows that they do, something like that. I think I would like to try.
What job would you definitely not like to attempt?
That's probably like a really long list of things I would never do. My brothers all work trades, and I think I would never be able to work a trade. My one brother does iron work, and it's very high. He's on like beams, and I'm like, please don't show me that selfie of you in the middle of nowhere in the sky. So I could personally probably never, ever be an iron worker. My brother, I don't know how he does that.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You made a lot of people very, very happy in your life.
Beautiful.
That's about it.
Well, Brittany, that's about it for us as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for today. That was very fun. I loved chatting with you. Thank you for asking me so many awesome questions about my business and letting me share with everyone. It's awesome to be on your platform.
Well, best of luck with it all. I mean, obviously your own pageant journey. I mean, you're doing so many other things. It's sometimes easy to forget that you're in a pageant yourself.
Yeah, I sometimes
Because
forget.
I know you're running your own business, you're running your own pageant, and you're doing a pageant as well. So free time is at a premium. But I'll keep you on the line for just a second whilst I hang up with the audience. Thanks to everyone for watching or listening live on the replay. And as I mentioned, Brittany's website is in the description below, so you can click on that and check it out. And we will speak to you next time. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. Just a reminder to you entrepreneurial types to come and join us at our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/the pageant boss. I'll see you inside and see you in the next episode.